Hey guys, welcome back to my layout in a shed, my Saginaw Sub on scale. Um, Another update. Not a whole lot really got done this weekend, like I was hoping to do. Mostly because I didn't get any more track. I never stopped at the hobby shop, and some of you know I did. Yeah, don't have a whole lot of cash on me, so I really didn't get to buy the 50 bazillion and a half for whatever. I haven't actually even figured that out. How many switches I'm going to need for the Wayne area. So I really didn't get much done there. I did get almost all of the track, which I painted in the last video, 3 videos ago. I did get a lot of that painted up, or cleaned up, so you kind of see better detail what's painted. And in the video it looks like there's a kink there and another kink, but they're not actually that noticeable and they're not that bad, but I do intend to fix them. The bridge needs a little work. The switches all need some more cleaning. I didn't have any sandpaper. I said to use a cleaning rag. If I got a little fine grit sandpaper plus a cleaning rag, that would be perfect. But I did get it to the point where I could start running some trains. This video I'm not really going to talk too much about layout construction. I'm going to try and focus a little bit on operations, since even though there's not a whole lot, industry-wise, nothing done over here in Wayne. See boxes, empty cars, or empty boxes, 4 cars there. You can already kind of operate the railroad. Not exactly how I would want to operate the railroad, but you can kind of do it. Close this door so no more bugs come in. One thing I have to note: you cannot send a 60-foot boxcar and a center beam boxcar to the Northville lumber yards. I talked to a buddy of mine, and apparently his family or somebody he knew or somebody owned a lumber yard in Northville that was served by rail. So that's what's going to go in here, and I figure loaded center beams with lumber, one goes here, maybe 2, and then a box car maybe full of lumber or something else goes there. And that's actually part of one train. When it actually comes down to operations, I'm not going to try and mimic what the real railroad did. I'm just going to try and make things seem prototypical, operate prototypically, and be interesting to actually do. So, you're not going to see me using real train numbers or anything. And a key example is the Plymouth Local, which I actually had staged here, but then I decided I was going to run it. And the reason why I want to operate early on is I read a model railroader, and I've talked to my buddy about this. Operate before you get the railroad done, so that way if you need to make changes, you can easily do that. So I've already found a couple things I might want to change. I might move this whole end of the yard here down maybe 2 or 3 more inches, just to get a little more room here. Or I might figure out something better for this. I might move this switch closer to here. I wanted to leave a little bit of a gap there, but I might move it closer, just that way the arrival departure tracks here are a little bit longer. Because the first train that comes out of Plymouth is the Plymouth Local. And that train works the team track right here. It also works the RIP track, or the repair track, which that's why that car's there. It's a bad order car. It also works Northville lumber. And once I put Wixom in, or Novi, actually, Novi will be here. There'll be a siding up here on this lower level underneath the shelf. There'll be another, or this shelf, like I said in previous videos, will be lower down. There'll be a level here. That'll be Novi. There'll be 1 or 2 industries on the Novi siding that the Plymouth Local might work. It's a fairly easy job. You just got to spot 2 cars, usually 2 or 3 cars here. You also got to pick up whatever's here. You got to do the repair track. The tricky part is actually Northville, because if you look, you got a trailing point move and a facing point move, and you actually can't put a box car there with a car there, because you have to have, there's just enough room here to get your locomotive, maybe 1 or 2 cars in to get back there. So you could squeeze your locomotive up in there and then back it in. Actually, no, when I ran that, I only had the locomotive in that 60-footer. So I take that back. There's just enough room for a locomotive for 1 box car. So the trick is, you got to come in with your train, and you got to do your facing point move first, or you got to do your pickup first I know how did I work that? It's weird because you have to do a couple runaround moves, but the rules for it are you cannot do your runaround move in Plymouth. You actually have to go up the helix and do your runaround maneuver in Novi. Now, for the time being, since Novi isn't in, you are allowed to do your runaround move over here in Plymouth, which there's room to do it between this switch here and this crossover here. You just have to talk to whoever's working the yard. In my little mini op session, I was going to have another person operate with me, but because I was fighting with dirty track, I decided against it. And the people up here operating, actually my younger brother and my second cousin, were both fairly young, and I don't think they would quite. They'd get it. They'd like this, but they wouldn't be patient enough to deal with the dirty track. So, but I did get it running fairly smooth. The switches are still kind of problematic, and I really didn't do a good job down cleaning this end of the yard. Of course, Plymouth Local has to work the team track, which are going to get box cars, flat cars, bulkhead flats. The RIP track is going to get about every car type. I'm going to use car cards, like 4-position car cards, but I might have a 5th position where while you're switching the car, it might have a tag on it that says before this car can go to this industry, it needs to go to that track to be repaired. Now, the other thing that the Plymouth switcher is actually going to have to deal with are the interchange tracks. Now, on the real railroad, these are not interchange tracks. This one here and this one here. They're actually legs of a Y. There's a diamond that would cut right through here, and a couple more Y tracks. If you actually look here, you can see what I'm talking about. Now, because I can't actually run a train down that track, there's a wall there, and I can't run a train down this track. There's a vertical drop to the floor there. I decided it'd be kind of interesting to have an interchange operation where the Plymouth Local, or Plymouth Switcher, which right now is this DT&I GP38 204, he's going to be working the yard. He'd be working the yard. What he would do is if he had any cars for them, he'd put them on a separate track and then send them down. And then the train master, would come along. I'll probably have a timer or something, and I'll turn the waybills. So then later he'll come and pick those same cars up to simulate them being picked up by another railroad, being worked at their industries, and coming back to the railroad. And that's how this track and that track there will be utilized. Of course, there'll be through trains. Just about any train that comes in on the railroad is going to go to one of 2 yards out of the 3. They're either going to go up to Flint or they're going to go to Plymouth here. Any railroad or any train coming on the railroad from staging. So a train coming out of Toledo, it's a CSX train coming out of that wall, is going to come through along here and either go into this yard and terminate here, or it's going to terminate, in that corner where Flint is going to be represented. And then, another train coming down from Saginaw, which would be staging up on that side of that wall, will either come to Flint or go to here. Now, of course, what's going to happen with Wixom Yard here in the middle, Lincoln Yard? Well, trains are going to come either out of Plymouth or Flint down to there as interchange trains between them. And the same deal with Wayne. It's going to be all interchange traffic. So the way it's actually going to be set up is CSX isn't going to run this. I'm going to have to get a couple Conrail units, because that's Conrail and NS are going to be running Wayne. They'll interchange with the CSX. Now, there will be a couple industries that will be worked by a CSX crew, but there will be a dedicated Wayne switch crew sitting there who will be working a couple industries here. So I want to make a little bit of a puzzle. So that's why I haven't done too much here. I want to try and figure out the most prototypical looking but interesting still looking switching puzzle that I can put in right here that isn't something that a railroad wouldn't build. Hold on a second. Alright, that's better. But as you can see, I haven't really done much there. I have actually looked at how Wayne is set up, and further off of here, it goes down and there's the other half of an auto plant here, but what I'm going to assume is the auto plant was built differently. So these loading trucks, which are operated by CSX, will be right here, but they'll all be trailing points. So you'll have to come in like this, and then like this into those tracks. And then there'll be some spots along this side of the plant to be dropped off for the weighing crew, and I might put a scenic divider between here to make it look like there's more distance, and maybe put some trees over there so that you can't see anything. Um, those are just ideas I've been kicking around. It's still all, ideas at this point. One other thing I want to talk about, and you've heard me ramble on now for 10.5 minutes about my plans for the future of this layout and its current iteration. But one of the things that might be happening, actually it's very, very, very real possibility might be happening here in September or October or maybe November, sometime before Christmas, is I'll actually be moving out of state. Now, as I've probably said before, either on on this layout's Facebook page or in other videos, this layout's actually built in my cabin up north, 2 hours north of my current house. Now, I'm talking and I'm still holding the camera up so that way you can get a better look at things while I'm talking and rambling on. I don't like showing my face on camera. But like I said, I might be, it's 2 hours up north. That's why not a whole lot of work gets done, because I'm only up here, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I come up here Friday night, we unpack, I come out here, I clean off the layout, pull the plastic wrap off, brush off the tracks, put the trains on. By then, I'm, tired because I've been up all day, doing whatever. So I go to bed, and then Saturday, get up early, we go out, we ride quads, dirt bikes and stuff, and come back, Saturday night, maybe get a little bit of work done, maybe a little bit of something, but not a whole lot. Then pack up and go home Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. So, really, I don't get a whole lot of time up here to work on it. Now, if I move out of state, or when I move out of state, I'll maybe be here maybe once every 2 months. I'll come, back visit whenever. That means I'm probably only going to be up here maybe maybe 2 or 3 times a year up here. So, really, the fate of this layout isn't quite clear. There are 3 ideas that I've kind of been kicking around. The first idea is just continue building this layout here, and then build a second one just like it, where I'm going to move to. And where I'm going to move to, I already know that I have a larger area, so I could build a much larger version of this layout. I could probably get away with it in HO, but I'm going to stick with N. That's one idea, is have 2 versions of this railroad. The problem is, you'd see an update of this railroad. Oh, hey, look, I'm working in my cabin. Oh, hey, look, I'm working in my garage now. It'd be kind of confusing, at least for me, especially when I'm talking to people about, which layout I'm building. The other option, and this is one that I was originally planning when I first started designing a layout for the shed, is switch it back to HO scale, but not model the Saginaw Sub, kind of model a freelance version of Lake State, which actually runs Lake State, former DT&I, or not DT&I, Detroit and Mackinac. Look at me, know my railroads. Detroit and Mackinac, which actually runs right through downtown, where our cabin's at, downtown St. Helen. They have an interesting little old industry, which isn't used anymore, that I think is an interesting little spur that I could model. And I figured I'd do something HO scale, maybe not multi-deck, but in the same footprint as this, maybe remove this area. Still on the fence even about doing HO scale. I have to really think about it a lot more. Shouldn't have only got about a minute left. Because I don't want this to go over 15, but it'll probably go over 15. The other thing that I'm thinking about is just taking this apart and not having anything up here, because I really wouldn't be able to spend much time up here. At the same time, if I come back for a week, I come back in the state, because even though I'm moving, my family's still going to be here. They still own the cabin. They'll still be up here visiting. So it's not like this is going to just take the axe. Like I said, though, one of the plans with moving, though, if I were to switch it to HO scale, I would just pull this track up and build almost exactly what you see here in a much larger space. And that's why I'm still, talking about plans and how to operate it, because it's going to be the same layout with the same operations. So if I say, here's how the Plymouth Local works on this layout here, and then I turn around and build another layout that's the exact same railroad, because that's what I intend to do, it's going to be the exact same train. Only difference is you might have more room on the arrival departure track, because there's some things I left out and had to make changes for to fit, of course, in this area. That when I build, if and when I build a new version in a larger space, I'm going to include, including the 3 tracks coming out of Plymouth over M14, because I've only got 2 tracks on the prototype. There's 3, which is quite nifty, because this crossover actually goes from the yard track like this to would actually be the switch lead. There'd be another track here, which is the main line. What that allows the crews to do is have somebody going in and out of the yard sorting cars while a train comes out of the arrival departure track, or a train is coming in, while another train can be rolling by on a third main line. Now, it's not 3 tracks all the way through. In fact, this right here is exactly how the yard ends, except it's not curved, it goes straight through. But, you get the idea. And then there's some other things like the Wayne area is a little different than how it is on the prototype, which doesn't irritate me too much, but I would definitely change up how Wayne is laid out over there. I'm very, very happy with Northville over there, and of course that bridge. All very happy. I mean, if I were to move, yeah, it's gonna suck, but I've got plans to make a much, much better version of this railroad if I do move. One of those plans involves a Fremo module, mostly because the place I've moved, I've already found an N-scale club that does modular, and that's all they do is Fremo style modular. So if I were to move, that's what would happen. I'm saying this now so that way in a couple months when I stop updating and you go, oh, why aren't you updating? How's that working out? You understand that, oh yeah, well, he moved. And I'm going to continue working on this layout, because what's going to happen if I move, if I pull up this layout, I'm going to pull up all the track, pull up all the cork. As I've said before, the only thing holding this layout down are these pins. There's about 600 of these pins so far on the layout, and there's another 300, or there's 300 pins on the layout, and there's another 300 there for a total of 600 pins used, holding everything down. I could, in less than an hour, have all the track and everything off of this layout. Just because I found that's much easier to try and, make changes. For example, when we look over here at Northville, originally the siding was only this long. Well, then I realized, I need to make it a little longer. It was very easy for me to pull up all the pins, pull up all the cork with all the pins, recork it, and repin it. It took me 20 minutes to extend that siding. And that was, on track that I considered done. So if I do move, all this track, all this cork would come up, go into a box, and go with me. So all the same track would get thrown down. Now, of course, if I do move, I would be getting a much better paying job, and I might actually end up doing all Code 55, which I love Code 55, except for it's expensive and hard to find. So what I probably would do is build as much as I could with this Code 80 and then slowly convert it over to Code 55. But that's more plans for in the future that I'm not going to get into right now, because I've already hit 1851 and I do not want to pass 20 minutes on this update. So thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching. I'm saying this right now, even though I've already said that I'm probably going to be moving or might be moving and I might be tearing up this layout. There will be more updates. There will be more work done. And if you see this little flash, it's my hand, because I talk with my hands. More work will be done. Probably what's going to end up happening is I'm going to get this area here all the way up to the wall done before I move. I'm going to get that done and go, yep, that looks good. All right, now pull it all up. So once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a fan of this layout and my videos. Don't forget to, you can subscribe if you want. You don't have to. It doesn't hurt me. If you want more updates that happen more frequently in the videos, go ahead and look down below. I can't put my finger at a 90 degree angle. Be below, or to the left, or to the right, or above, or wherever YouTube decides to put the description box. I'll have a link to the Facebook page so you can like the official CSX Saginaw, or the unofficial, official, whatever the hell you want to call it, CSX Saginaw Sub in N scale layout that I'm currently building. That will have much more details on everything. I try and update that about the same time I do an update on the videos, but I also do periodical little blurbs about stuff. Um, I might post pictures or details about things that don't get covered in the photos. So yeah, go ahead and check that out. Yeah, that's it. Once again, thanks for watching. Later.